Hello YouTubers. Beast of Bogarden here. Today I will be making my first Fortnite creative tutorial. I'll be showing you how to create a functioning elevator in Fortnite Creative using the new prop mover device. Normally I would not create a 2-floor hallway from nowhere, leading to nowhere, but for today's demonstration it will suffice. To start off with, I use the black elevator from the Art Deco building prop gallery. Now, I'll go over the devices, settings and channels used to create the functioning elevator. Feel free to pause this video at any time to place and adjust your device settings as you see me doing here. Add a light to your elevator by placing the elevator on the ground using Grid Snap 2. While still using Grid Snap 2, copy a light and place it in the top of the elevator. When the light is placed, switch to Grid Snap 32. Move the elevator down one space. And the light by the same amount. Build a wall next to the elevator. Highlight the wall, the elevator, and the light. Cut them and paste them where they go in the elevator shaft. Open the settings for the prop mover device. Set speed to 3 meters per second. Time from start to off. Set on player collision behavior to continue. Player damage on collision to none. Set on prop collision behavior to continue. And prop damage on collision to none. Stop when receiving on channel 4. Advance when receiving from channel 1. And reverse when receiving from channel 2. When movement starts, transmit on channel 3. And, when movement stops, transmit on channel 10. Now we will be placing the prop mover device. Get out your phone and set Grid Snap to 32. Cut the prop mover device and bring it over to the elevator. When the device glows green, and the elevator glows with a blue grid pattern, the device is in position. Rotate the device until the arrow is pointing in the direction you want the elevator to move. And paste the device. Now, go inside the elevator. Set Grid Snap to 32. Copy the prop mover device. Move the second prop mover device towards the light until the prop mover turns green and the light turns to a blue grid pattern, signifying that the prop mover and the light are now connected successfully. On the second prop mover, change. When movement starts, transmit on no channel. Change when movement stops, transmit on no channel. Now we'll be going over the button configuration. Trigger sound, disabled. Set interaction text, to use elevator. Or any other interaction text you deem appropriate. Set interaction target size to 5 meters. And, when interacted with, transmit on channel 8. Get out your phone on Grid Snap 32. Copy the button and place it on the door. Preferably, in a position that looks good. This door has an abnormally large hitbox, so we will not be placing the door until all the devices have been placed. After the door has been moved backwards, away from the button, place a wall next to the button. Highlight the button and the wall, and copy both of them simultaneously. Move them into the position you'll be placing the doors later. And paste them in both locations. This method of moving devices and props is perfect for copying and pasting things into multiple areas. without having to fuss over positioning them the same way every time. Now, we will go over the configuration of the last two buttons, using the button we configured earlier. Change interaction text to up. Visible during game to no. When interacted with, transmit on channel 1. Get your phone out. And, cut the button on grid snap 32. Rotate the button in line with the side of the elevator you'll be placing it on. This elevator has a non-functioning button in place. That is why we set visible during game to no. Place the button where the non-functioning button is. Delete the elevator. And, using the same method we used earlier to place the first button, cut the button and move it over to the elevator you'll be using in your build. Paste a button on the elevator in your build. And, one on the floor above. On the second button, change when interacted with transmit on 1, to transmit on 2. Let's move on to the lock device. Set visible during game to off. Hide interaction when locked to yes. Open when receiving from channel 8. And close when receiving from channel 3. We will get back to placing the lock device in just a bit. And now for the sequencer. There are only 3 settings we will need to change on the sequencer. Set tempo, beats per minute, to 24. Length to normal. And start sequence when receiving from channel 3. We will be using the sequencer as a timer in this tutorial, as I was unable to use trigger delays and travel distance of the prop mover device to stop the elevator from moving at the correct moment in time. To figure out the correct settings on the sequencer, I had to use trial and error to get the settings right. Mostly error. There's probably some mathematical formula for figuring out how to set the sequencer to the proper stopping point and bypass the testing of the sequencer. But I don't know the formula. Now, on to more serious business, and getting to the end of this excessively long tutorial. Make sure the trigger settings are as follows. Pause the video, and adjust these settings on your trigger device. Make sure grid snap is set on 2. Cut the device, and move over to the sequencer. Place the trigger in the center of the sequencer zone. Copy the previous trigger, and make sure the settings are as follows. Delay 1 second. Trigger when receiving from channel 10. And, when triggered, transmit on channel 8. Now, we will place the door and lock device. I always use building as prop. Set to off when building. Place a door in front of the elevator, and one in the same position, on the floor above. Now, cut the lock device, and go to the doors we just placed. It doesn't matter where you place the lock device, on the doors, as long as the red light turns blue when placed, signifying that the lock device has been successfully linked to the door. Go to the menu. And, start game. We are about to test our devices to ensure they are functioning properly. I usually place a player spawn pad next to the area I'm about to test. Let's see how we did. Oh no. What is this? I forgot to change the interaction text, from up, to down. It's no big deal. After all, this is what the test is for. To catch any errors we made in programming. Or, in this case, interaction text direction. It looks like our devices are functioning properly. Sometimes, the devices don't function properly on the first try. Sometimes, this is due to a flaw in setting up the device mechanics. And I have to troubleshoot my device mechanics to figure out why. Sometimes, I have to just leave the game. Load back in. And the devices are functioning properly. I don't know why this is. Maybe the changes I made to the devices haven't been recognized in the system yet. And logging out and forces the system to recognize the changes I have made. If you know why this sometimes happens, please, let me know. One last thing. Hitting the elevator button immediately after pressing it. Or, button spamming before the prop mover device has finished moving, will cause the device to stop working. This can be fixed by changing the settings of the inside elevator buttons to disable. And enable again using existing channels. Build a wall next to the elevator. Highlight the wall and the elevator. Move them to the side. Make sure you change the settings on both buttons to enable when receiving from channel 10 and disable when receiving from channel 3. Highlight the wall and the elevator. Cut them. And place the elevator back where it belongs. Test it one last time. As you can see, the button interactions now disappear and reappear after the elevator has come to a complete and full stop. This is my first tutorial. Anything I did not cover enough, or anything you think I could do better, please let me know. All feedback is positive, as long as you have the right mindset to take the negative feedback and learn from it to better yourself, turning it into a positive. All feedback is welcome.